Hey everyone, it's your favorite host, Marcus Norman of the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Today we are going to talk about marketing. This man I'm bringing to the stage, I'm extremely excited about because he is the man, the myth, the legend himself. He is taking marketing to a whole new level and he's doing some incredible things, and he's here to teach us how to take our business to the next level with some modern day strategies, but also some traditional strategies that we have forgotten about. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss 1 second of this man, known as the smartest man in the world. Here we go. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Marcus of the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today I have Saul Colt. He is the founder and creative director at the iMEDIA Integration Company. In his career, he has been named as one of the iMEDIA 25's Internet Marketing Leaders and Innovators, as well as been called one of Canada's best community builders, marketers around the world. Also, he's a New York Times best-selling author and internet pioneer, with Mr. Chris Bogan once referred to him as exactly who you want representing your brand, your company. And today he's here to share some of that wisdom, that knowledge, that expertise here on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. So without further ado, help me welcome Mr. Saul Colt.
Marcus, thank you so much for having me on the show. That introduction was so wonderful. I feel like we should get a big house together and eat breakfast every morning. It'll get my day going perfectly.
Absolutely. Follow you around with like some theme music. Get your own personal theme music.
Something, yeah.
Boosting you up all day long. Sir, you did the incredible work, and I thank you for your work, and thank you for being here with us on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. You have an incredible mind, and your ideas and beliefs and theories around marketing have really led. You have been listed on numerous companies and helped many companies take their brand to the next level. Sir, what is your secret? Because you could literally do anything you set your mind to. Why the focus on content and advertising and marketing, sir?
Well, first I'll say I can't do anything I set my mind to because I haven't won the lottery yet, and there's still women out there that don't find me attractive. But when it comes to professionally speaking, I think that the greatest asset that I have is that I've got sort of like foolish belief or blind belief in myself that I can come up with anything and I'm better than anyone else. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I just have absolute confidence in my own abilities. And another little secret that I don't talk about that much is I'm sort of self-taught. So when you're self-taught, you don't have all the rules burned into you that you can't do this and you can't do that and you have to do things a certain way. So because no one ever told me that I couldn't do certain things a certain way, I just do them the way they make the most sense. And I'd say I've got about a 900 batting average about guessing right and pulling off really great things and doing cool projects. So I just think believing in yourself is such a huge thing.
So true. Believing in yourself, believing in your brand, believing in the company, your company, whatever it is, your product, whatever it is, believe in yourself. Got to start there because no one's going to believe in it more than you. True words, Mr. Colt. True words. Why has advertising, in your professional opinion, why has advertising gotten boring? What are we doing wrong?
I think it's gotten boring. Well, I wouldn't say it's gotten boring. It's gotten too safe. People are afraid to offend anybody. People are afraid to, take a stand on anything. You know, the, we're far. And when I say people, it's really about people. Like when you think of a brand like a Ben and Jerry's or a Nike, they take stands as a brand and they push the limits and they do really cool things. But the thing that sometimes people forget is that that VP of marketing or that chief marketing officer is a person, and they let their beliefs, whatever they might be, sometimes creep into the work, or their fear of getting fired, or their whatever. So and with all the political correctness and cancel culture that's going on right now, a lot of people are really afraid to do interesting things, and it's a shame because the bar has gone so low on interesting that if you do the littlest make the littlest effort with your followers and your customers and your consumers, they will notice. And brands should this is the time brands should be taking huge chances. We've all been stuck in our house for 2 years. The world is starting to open up a little bit again, and people are itching to participate. They're itching to be wowed. They're itching to be entertained, and they want to be entertained by their brands because they love, like, as a society, we've been taught to love brands and love products and love things, whether that's right or wrong. It just happens to be the reality. And like, I love so many things that companies do, but also I'm bored by so many things that companies do. Volkswagen released an ad the other day that they're getting high fives, and everyone's saying it's the most clever thing ever. It's just a guy who's walking around a city looking at his iPhone and like bumping into people and knocking over things, and he walks into the middle of the road, and the Volkswagen SUV puts on an automatic braking system so that it doesn't hit the guy. And people are like, this ad is edgy. The guy bumped into a kid, and I looked at it and I just thought this ad is boring. It's not interesting or not edgy. But that, like when I said, the bar is so low right now, anything is perceived as edgy. But man, if brands took chances, and some are, and the people who work with us certainly do, they're getting rewarded because this is what people want.
Makes sense. Makes sense. That's fair. That's fair. Tell us your company, iMEDIA Integration.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, what is it that you specialize in, and what is it specifically that you help companies and brands do?
So we're a marketing and advertising agency. We work a lot with humor and satire. But if your brand doesn't want humor or satire, the main thing we do is really about pushing the limits. Standing out, being interesting, finding that nugget that people are really going to respond to, and what's going to resonate. Our creative team is made up from the former creative team from Mad Magazine, as well as writers from The Simpsons. We have a lot of people who work in TV and movies on our staff, because we like to think of our work as art. We like to think of it as theatrical. It's we're all kind of frustrated artists that have really been drawn to marketing and working with brands as our canvas, because that's what gets attention, and that's what gets seen, and that's where budgets and money is, and things like that. So but we've worked with Nike, we've worked with eBay, we've worked with HP, Twitter, all sorts of different companies. But we've also worked with tiny companies that people have never heard of. We delivered this month alone 4 brand new brands for products that are going to hit the market in the next quarter, and so we work with everybody. The main thing we do when we're deciding who we work with is really, are you a brand that is fits our personality? Are you a brand that wants to take chances, wants to be great instead of just boring and ordinary?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's huge. And you're right. We're afraid, right? I'll speak for myself. We're afraid to kind of push the edge. Mad TV, growing up as a kid, definitely pushed the envelope. Definitely. And The Simpsons, oh man, a lot of stuff that The Simpsons joked about back in the day is actually coming true. But it was, like you said, it was on the edge, but it was still, even today, it's still cutting edge. It still grabs your attention. When The Simpsons come on, you know to tune in. You know you're gonna laugh. You know you're gonna get some humor. You know you're gonna get all the satire. What is it that we're missing on a what is the common denominator that we're missing? Just, I know you said pushing the edge, but is it because we're afraid to get sued? I mean, you say the wrong thing, next thing you know, Will Smith is coming on and slapping you, right? I mean, what is right there? What's just enough? How do you know? How can you tell?
So, and that's an amazing point. I've used this example a few times, but in January, Pabst Blue Ribbon, the beer company, they put out a tweet that said, not drinking in January, try eating ass. And it was just such a bizarre statement for a brand to make. And they probably made it because their social media manager was probably a kid who just thought it was really funny, and they didn't think about it or think sort of long term. One of the things that we do is we, if talking about eating ass was appropriate for a brand, we would suggest it, but we don't go there first because we actually do a ton of research to find out where that line is, what you can get away with. And it's not what you can get away with the company or the president of the company. It's what your customers will let you get away with. A lot of times we've lost projects because we've shown something that made the decision maker really uncomfortable, but that was their insecurity or their prejudice that wouldn't let the project go through. But we did all the research and showed that we spoke to 100 of your customers, and this is what they think is funny, and this is what they'll let you get away with. And what we try to do is, once we know where that line is of what you can get away with, we try to cross that line by 2 baby steps, because those 2 baby steps are where the shock is going to come thing. But you don't want to cross that line by like 10 steps, because that's when you're going to get slapped, and that's when you're going to lose customers, and that's when people are going to start picketing and things like that. But I do believe once you know where that line is, you still got to cross it a tiny bit.
True. Very true. Love it. Saul Colt, y'all. Told y'all, you see the knowledge, you see the wisdom right here. Oh my gosh, you can't get this anywhere else except on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, or connecting with Mr. Saul Colt and his team. They're going to help you take your brand to the next level. We have one quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Stay right there. We'll be right back. We got to pay some bills.
Support for Gentleman Style Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers you precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off free worldwide shipping with the code GENTSTYLE at manscaped.com.
Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels. Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level, Duke Duchess, which is our season level, and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye. We are back. If you are just tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, we have the incredible CEO founder, Mr. Saul Colt, and he is speaking to us. He's the CEO and creative director of his company, iMEDIA Integration, and he is speaking to us and sharing with us some of the reasons behind what we're missing in our brand, what we're missing in our business to really grab the attention of your ideal customer. Mr. Colt, you spoke to this on a previous podcast episode, and I need your help. Can you explain to my audience what's the difference between what does influence without context mean? What does that mean for my audience?
Yeah, so influence, I think, is something that a lot of people are getting wrong. And there certainly is a place for influencers, and there is a place for working with influencers or working, showing influence. But people think that a high number of social media followers makes you an influencer, but you can only really be an influencer if people believe what you're talking about and if you are sort of like a subject matter expert. So I have a fair number of followers online, but I know nothing about construction or building anything. I'm not a very handy person, so I could never be an influencer in the community of woodworkers or carpentry or anything like that. I know a lot about cars and sports and pop culture and marketing, and you wouldn't know it by looking at me today, but fashion and things like that. So I could be influential in those areas because I do have a subject matter expertise, but I've never been to Italy, so I can't say I'm a travel influencer that could give you real valuable information about traveling to Italy. So the thing that people don't get is that you need that context. So I'm influential with really, really attractive women aged 35 to 45. They believe me and they listen to what I say, but I wouldn't be influential with lawyers or doctors because I have no area of expertise. And a lot of people think that you can be influential, just globally influential, and that's not correct. You can be influential in the things that you're good at. And the other thing is that people also think high numbers of social media followers equals influence, when in reality it's really more about engagement. So somebody with 600 followers, but every one of those 600 people follow every word from that person and buy the products they suggest and support them, would actually be more influential than somebody with 72,000 followers, but nobody comments, nobody likes, nobody shares, nobody buys, and nobody responds or engages in any way. So, influence is a funny thing that a lot of people get wrong, but you just have to kind of look at it very differently.
Love that. That's very true, and you're right. It's what I'm hearing is stay in your lane. Right, stay in your lane of influence, right? And it's twofold. I see a lot of people that partner with brands, that don't suit their brand, right? Just because they want a paycheck, and that's not a really good fit. I met another expert.
Well, it's a good fit for the influencer. It's not a good fit for the brand.
True, very true. It's not a good fit for the brand, and you really have to take that into account when you reach out to potential clients, or when they're reaching out to you to say, are we a good fit? Does this really serve my target audience? And I think you're right. We really want to kind of touch everybody. I'm a world influence. Do you believe that there are such people in the world? Like the president of the United States, he's a influential person worldwide, right? Or no? Does he even have his own demographic or his own culture that he speaks to that really resonate with him?
Yeah, even someone like the president, because there's half of the nation doesn't support the person or like the person, so it's really about, and in other countries and things like that, the closest to a global influencer would probably be, like an athlete or a musician or somebody who isn't really pushing an agenda, like they're not saying, buy this or buy that, except they'd probably say buy my record or stream my record or something like that. But like someone like Michael Jordan is, pretty beloved worldwide, or at least recognizable worldwide. He doesn't do any social media or anything like that, but you know, somebody who is not pushing the agenda could actually be an accidental global influencer. But anyone who's telling you to go buy a certain face cream or go buy a certain car, it's just not going to work globally.
True. Makes sense. You've seen the truth commercials for cigarettes, right?
Mhm.
Those to me are pretty on the edge. Just in a quick dissection, how would you rate those commercials? Would you say those are on the edge type of brands or commercials, or not pushing the edge enough to really bring home the seriousness of cigarette smoking and the benefits and not the benefits, the cons of what could happen if you smoke? Is that too edgy or not enough?
So I actually think those are really good commercials, and they're very strong, and they're along the right line. But this goes back to the conversation of context. That sort of product and that sort of message earns a very forceful message or messaging or edge, however you want to describe it. When you think of different products, like when you think of car companies, and I'm making a generalization, but I'd say 60% of all car commercials are just a car with beautiful people driving through the mountains or curvy roads or whatever. It's net, or it's showing somebody going grocery shopping to show how much stuff you can put in the car. There's so much more interesting stuff you can do, for a product like that. When you see consumer electronic products like an iPad or an iPhone or something, it's usually just people dancing or like something like that. Like there's too many easy buckets that people have fallen into, that it's just like, okay, like we're not pushing the limits here. Like for an iPhone commercial, and I'm this is like a 30-second idea. It's not a great idea, but how great would it be to see somebody like, kidnapped or in a home invasion, and they're using their phone to call 911. It's like the like show the real value of these products and stuff like that. Your commercial for what's the razor product?
Manscaped. Speaking about eating ass, right?
Yeah. Great product. They're everywhere, and their commercials fine because they're going after, it's about knowing your target audience. Like they're not going after perverts. They're not going after, everything they do is sort of insinuated but not shown. So I actually think their stuff is pretty smart and pretty strong, because it's an easy product that you could go too far on, and actually a lot of people would be offended, but they're making, sort of like a sexy, salacious product mainstream, and I think they're doing a really interesting job with it. So like, and they're everywhere, so they're, I give them kind of kudos for the approach they're taking. Edgy, take away the word edgy and trade it for really smart and creative, because not everything has to shock, but everything should make you think. And everything should, like, really, because if you're thinking even for 10 seconds longer about a commercial, that's 10 seconds you're not thinking about that product's competitor, or that's 10 seconds more that the brand is getting embedded in your brain. I was reading an article earlier today that the word brand when we talk about branding, comes from the branding of like animals, like the hot poker and going in, because it's about creating a mark on somebody and having them sort of never forget you. So I think a lot of people forget that part of brand. It's become this ephemeral word that's a catch-all for a lot of things, but branding is really what it sounds like. It's about, putting a permanent, reminder into somebody about where they should think about where they should spend their money, where they should spend their time. And a lot of companies get that so wrong because they don't think of it as this permanent thing. And lots of small transactional sort of campaigns, but branding is really about, every decision a company makes has to go towards the brand. Every decision people make as a business should run through the filter. Is this okay with our brand? Is this what we're trying to do, to say, to tell? Like I mentioned Nike before. Nike does so many interesting things. They stand by athletes who sometimes get on the wrong side of the law. They stand by, the people they support. They stood by Colin Kaepernick and all these things, because Nike is not a Nike. They consider themselves a family. Part of their brand is about family, and family is kind of permanent, whether you like it or not. And they do such a great job about creating that brand on you, where it becomes like people literally get Nike tattoos all the time. And, that's kind of like the highest honor someone could pay any company, is putting it on their body permanently. And I don't think you don't see too many people with, tattoos for brands that aren't interesting and transactional brands.
True. Very true. I told y'all, the man, the myth, the legend. Mr. Colt, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. You got a question from our audience member here, Miss Roxanne Benz. Great question, Ms. Benz. She asked, Mr. Colt, what would you suggest a person do if they want to branch off? For example, I've made a stamp on my island, which is the U.S. Virgin Islands. However, I would like to branch out. I've been doing well in the Florida area because I live there, and now Georgia. How do I branch out to more places? What would be your suggestion? And she follows up with, I run a small business called Pretty Committee that caters to children, both boys and girls.
So I'm going to give you a very simple answer to this, Roxanne, but I also suggest, like, drop me an email. I'm happy to hop on a call and sort of talk it through. Obviously, without knowing all the information, I'm going to give you a very general answer. But the fact that you're doing a good job in the U.S. Virgin Islands and then Florida and Georgia, where you live, that's kind of how you should do it. If you think of the game Risk, if you're familiar with the game Risk, you can't take over the country, all at the same time. You need sort of your soldiers. I know with everything going on with shootings and stuff, maybe I should come up with a different analogy, but when your soldiers can only protect, you kind of want to keep them close. So you started in Florida, you're doing okay in Florida, you made a jump to Georgia, which geographically is very close. So once you've built up Florida and Georgia, I think the next territory would be probably the Carolinas. And you keep sort of moving really, really close. And it is about kind of domination and taking over the world and all that stuff, but you want to do it in really, really small jumps. So you're close enough to handle if there's any problems. You're close enough to get in a car or get on a very short flight and go fix any problems, pitch your product, do more sales, all that sort of stuff. If you were to automatically say, I'm doing well in Florida, and then I'm going to go to Texas, and I'm going to go to California, some people have made that work, but there's a lot of business just going right up from Florida to New York. And then north to south is always cheaper for shipping and travel than east to west. And then you can start moving into the Midwest and take over California at the very end. But, what you should do is figure out why Florida worked so well, and use all those learnings, all those audiences, figure out what type of people were buying your product, and then target those people in Georgia with your paid advertising and stuff like that. And then, now you've got 2 states that you're doing pretty well. You should get a bunch of testimonials and build your ideal customer. And then if you do decide to go into the Carolinas, you've got testimonials. You sort of know who your target market is. Their demographics, their household incomes, where they shop, what they like, what they don't like. And with every state and almost with every month you're in business, you know more about your customer, and you can target them in these new areas, because the new areas are really, really hard to build up. But as you build up new areas, you never want to forget who got you there. So make sure you never slow down on Florida, you never slow down on Georgia, but use all that information to make smart decisions to grow and sort of just keep moving through the entire United States. And once you've taken over the US, go to Canada, then go to England and all the other English speaking countries. And before you know it, you're going to be living in Steve Harvey's mansion.
Phenomenal. There you go, Miss Benz. I hope that helps. I hope that answers your question. I was taking notes backstage, y'all, so don't mind me. This is the beauty of having your own podcast. You get to take notes and get to learn and grow. She says, "Thank you." So huge help. That was phenomenal. Another round of applause for Mr. Colt, y'all. Mr. Colt, what was the strategy behind adding the Mad Magazine team to your team? What was the thought process behind that? What was the goal with that move? Because Mad Magazine was very, very powerful. They still are. They're still a well-known, the Mikey with the buck teeth, that face, that's still memorable.
Yeah, so during the first year of the pandemic, our company really suffered. A lot of our clients, decided to scale back and not take any risks and not do the sort of things we do. So there was, there was many months where we were just sort of sitting around wondering what was going to happen. I'm happy to say that we're doing really well now and we're back on track. But that first year was really, really tough. And sort of one great thing that happened from that was we had time to really think about where we want to take the company and what we want to do and how we want to grow it. And throwing in the towel was never an option. It was always about saving this and growing it back up and making it huge. So I've known Bill Morrison, who was the editor-in-chief of Mad Magazine, for a decade or more, and we were always sort of talking and staying in touch. And Mad Magazine actually folded 2 years ago, so a lot of the Mad team were freelancing, and I've always wanted to work with Bill. And Bill also worked on The Simpsons for 20 years, so we were talking, sort of brainstorming, is there a way we could work together? And just sort of, we kept talking for 3-4 months until we worked out all the details. And Bill basically brought himself and his whole team under our company umbrella. And it really, we've been going pretty strong now for about 9 months with this creative team, and it's been incredible. It's changed the business. It's allowed us to offer more services. We can offer now full animation. We've got 20 illustrators, copywriters, some of the most professionally funny people in the world. So, we've always had a great business, but now I'd say we've got just something that is better than great, and something that very few people can compete with.
Absolutely. What advice, you've shared so many nuggets today on the show, Mr. Colt, sir.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to that young boy, that young girl, that young business owner, that young entrepreneur out in the audience who you said it earlier, COVID was a tumultuous year, it was a terrible year for business. What tips or last strategy would you give to that entrepreneur who's trying to turn their marketing or advertising around? Any other strategies, sir?
There's a lot, one I would say is, be honest with people, talk to people. There's a lot of people I talk to who say that, COVID was great for them when I know the truth, it wasn't. Like just be honest with people and people will help and people will offer you support. If you're slow, I don't mean slow like
Mentally.
mentally. I mean, if work is slow, use that time to better yourself. Take a course, read books. I love to read, but I when I'm busy, I try to listen to some audio books and things like that. But I'm always trying to learn more, and I find I learn so much from inspiring conversations. So it's really important to not shut yourself out from people and society, and go to networking events and talk to people. Wear your mask, don't wear your mask, whatever you believe in, but go out there and be around some people and ideas will come. But the idea that everything's going to be all right is not something I believe in. I think you have to work really hard and you sort of have to make your own luck. And that just comes from, hard work and hustle. And, don't hustle so much that you're hurting yourself physically or mentally, but it's really important to just not give up. And believe me, there's tons of days where I wish I could just sleep the day away and watch movies all day. But once you sort of get in the groove of things, like work is good and you got to just keep at it.
Absolutely. Sir, what's your favorite, what's the favorite stunt you've pulled in marketing? What's your most memorable, talked about stunt you've pulled in marketing?
The most talked about is the fact that we did skywriting to promote a cloud-based company. But my favorite stunt was we did a fashion show for a belt company where all the models were naked except for the belt. We had male and female full frontal nudity because, how could you do a fashion show for belts and if you can't see the belt? So that's probably my favorite stunt we ever did.
That's a win. That's a win.
Yeah.
That is genius, sir.
Mhm.
Pure
Thank
genius.
you.
That's why I told y'all, the smartest man in the world. Mr. Colt, how can my audience connect with you? How can we learn more? How can we grow with you?
Check out my website, theideaintegration.com. You can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet at just search my name, Saul Colt. All one word is, pretty much everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and, connect with me on LinkedIn, reach out. I answer all my own emails, all my own messages. And if you'd like to just hop on a call, just email me. We do free 15-minute consulting calls to pretty much anyone who's interested.
Love it. Love it. There you go. Connect. If your business is on the fence with its marketing and it needs some fresh perspective, it needs an awakening, it needs some revitalization, check out Mr. Saul Colt and his team and his company. They are doing phenomenal things, even with belts. They're going to take your brand to the next level. Mr. Colt, sir, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be here and share with my audience. This is truly phenomenal. You are epic, sir. I appreciate you. I want to say this to you publicly. Don't ever quit. Don't ever give up. We need you. We need what you're doing, sir.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you having me on the show. This was a real honor.
Absolutely. It's an honor to have you. Great. Yes, Nikki Brown, thank you. One of our VIP sponsors of the show. We thank you. Thank you for being here. And Miss Benz, she thanks you. I'll be connecting with you, Mr. Colt. So there we go. Thank you, my audience, for tuning in. I'm glad and I hope this was informational and helpful. And I hope this helps you take your business, your marketing to the next level. We got to let Mr. Colt go. But like always, I always end every show. Take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, signing off. Love you guys. Bye.